Hey guys, Exile here. Today we're going to be talking about DD Ignite again. Yeah, that's right. 5 leagues now in a row. DD is one of the best starters, perhaps the best starter. From the patch notes, we saw a couple other things that were competitors get nerfed, like Cold Dot, like RF, like Spark. Those things got changed or nerfed to the point where they're not really good starters or compete with DD anymore. So I do think this is still one of the best builds. It has fantastic clear on a budget still, perhaps even blue gear. It's really good at stuff like essences. I'm assuming to be very good at ultimatum, because when you kill like the big ultimatum rares, you're going to detonate their corpses, and then the ignite from those corpses is going to spread to monsters around it, and it's just going to own. That's the idea I get from playing it. As long as ultimatum is similar to how it was back in the day, albeit I think it's going to have a little bit less rares, so we'll have to see with that. For bossing, still solid. For uber bossing, it's still challenging. You do have to be a pretty capable player to do uber bosses comfortably. I will say uber Maven is probably like the easiest one. But yeah, as far as changes are concerned for 3.23, it's kind of the same build. Not really any changes. The new ascendancies aren't all that interesting for DD. You're probably going to end up using like the backpack space or something along those lines until you get charms that you can use. I don't think either of the other ascendancies really make that much sense. You use too many gems to make use of the 30 movement speed. As far as the transfigured versions, now there is a chance with the fact that we can like buy corpses from a vendor that one of those has like some absurd corpse HP value, and you can detonate that with like the new transfigured gem and do a shit ton of damage. I wouldn't rely on that. Like, there's a chance it could happen. There's always a chance that there's a corpse like that the GGG forgets to tune, but I wouldn't bank on it happening. If it happens, sure. If not, GG. The chain reaction detonate that gem will probably be good with hit-based DD. I don't feel like it's that useful for Ignite. You kind of just have enough AoE while mapping, and your Vol DD is like always going to hit the right corpse at some point during it, so not really a big deal. But yeah, this is not meant to be like a full DD guide like last week, since it's so similar. I'm just gonna tell you guys the updates I made and show you the most important things, like getting your specters and stuff, so that people don't miss out on stuff like that. But yeah, well, let's get into it. Alright, let us go get our specters. So I'm going to show you both times. I wasn't as thorough last time, but I'm going to make sure that we all have the right specters, so drive that point across. You absolutely need to get a specter if you're going to be playing DD Ignite, 100%. So you have two options. You can come here to the Ravage Square in Act 10, go in the canals, cast Desecrates until you get a Katava Herald, which I probably have. I'll put my spell... Well, my diadem might ruin this a bit, but... put our Spectre Gem in. Take this helm off just for ease. Then you're going to come into your options here. Under your keybinds, there's going to be Enable Corpse Targeting, minus Shift-P. Going to look for a Katava Herald. Luckily enough, there's one right there. And then press your Raise Spectre keybind. And you're good to go. I usually just come into my hideout and press Desecrate. I don't really think it matters literally at all. It's just a habit from back in the day. And then you can take the gem out, and it will always be in your Spectre pool and never have to worry about it again. The second option is in Solaris Temple level 2. If you run through the beginning area enough times, there will be some golden statues that spawn in. Let me see if I can get them to spawn here for you guys. Not the unique mob. Might take a couple of resets, but this is the second option. They both have the same value. It's just easier. There we go. Auric Champion here is the second one. You have to make sure you like kill it and then not destroy the corpse. There we go. And then I would take this as a Spectre. You have to summon them in this batch to get them. They're just easier to see when you press Desecrate. Because they're golden, so you can like snipe them. Yeah, that's how you get your Spectre. And then once you get your Spectre, you never have to worry about it again. So you just can delete the Spectre gem and you're good to go. Alright, how does Detonate Dead Ignite work? How do we play it on a boss? Quite simply, you are just going to Desecrate, Detonate Dead, in no particular order. You can You can desecrate DD. You can desecrate and then DD a bunch of times. The goal is to hit our big Spectre Corpse and then apply an Ignite with that. And then also using our Focus Shock. And then with those things, we infinitely refresh them with Defiled Forces. Every time we curse with our Arcanist brand, it's going to refresh that. So you just want to keep Arcanist brand up all the time on the boss, which is 4 seconds long. And if we do that correctly, the Ignite will last until the boss phases, dies, or you run out of range, which is about 1.5 screens. And then when you want to use Vol DD, you're going to Desecrate, Vol DD, Desecrate, so that it has a bunch of corpses to choose from, and it doesn't instantly die out. While you're mapping, none of this shit matters at all. You just Desecrate DD, you know, move forward, Desecrate DD, and you just blast. But yeah, I've got a shaper here just to show you like kind of the play style. The damage is not that high on this character because I'm using, it's like 2 leagues old now. I'm using like a Turn Damnation without a damage annoying and like very defensive tree with like a 1-mod multi-mod weapon, but just trying to get an idea of the rotation. It's a bit different because I have Diadem, but
I need more mana.
But here we go. We're just gonna Desecrate DD, Desecrate DD. You try to get under him for the Scorch. Again, I'm not gonna do the entire boss fight. And then we've probably applied the Big Ignite by now, it kind of looks like. I'm just gonna try to refresh the Arcanist brand. Desecrate, Vol DD, Desecrate. He did this phase. It phased shortly after this, but I'm not gonna do the entire boss fight. Just wanted to give you guys an idea. You want to see like a full Uber Maven? I've got it on the 3.22 video with like the same defensive character. Yeah, that's how the build works. And now I'll show you guys like a level 90 map on like a day 1 character. Alright, so this is my level 90 character that I played yesterday. It has about 8 hours played. Didn't die on it at all. From a fresh start, I figured I would show you guys what like doing a T16 map giga early on with pretty garbage gear and a 4-link looks like. The Desecrate level is only 19, so I am missing a significant amount of damage from the Corpse Life being 2 levels lower, which is pretty unfortunate, but nonetheless, here's my gear. That ring is pretty good. Everything else is just, this helm is pretty good. Everything else is just kind of, you know, like garbage early map items. Belt's decent as well. But yeah, let's get into it. I am running the Haste Divine Blessing, so I am losing a bit over running Malevolence, but I prefer to have like the speed. And I also don't have exposure gloves here, so most of this damage is, you know, without the exposure from Elementalist, unless I cast it on a rare, which I tend to do sometimes, at least until I have it on gloves. Especially on a rare like that, because that rare was fire and ignite resistant. Got stuck there. You really want like a Desecrate level 20 by the time you're doing T16s, which, you know, like most people are probably going to have. From playing the game normally. I'm not going to try really, really hard to like full clear the map. I'm just kind of showing you guys the build. So get everything up, get exposure on the boss. Level 20 Desecrate boss is probably already dead, but that is like a T16, like 8 hours into the league. Keep in mind I am playing a very scuffed tree in this character that doesn't have like dual curse and stuff, so I'm missing quite a bit of single target. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys an idea. Alright, on to the POB. So, like I said earlier, pretty much nothing changed this league. As far as this build is concerned, you're still going to start out the same pathing as normal, and use D-Term Haste as your auras once you get this wheel. To go through pretty much all of the campaign. And then when you get to maps, you respec the Detonate Dead. only if you have Vol Detonate Dead, you need Vol Detonate Dead before you respec. So you got to farm Vol side areas or something to get it if you don't have it by then. But up until then, we're just using Rolling Magma. Wouldn't bother with Stormblast anymore. Just Rolling Magma up until then. And then I've got, 28 to maps. We use Armor Brand Cremation. And then I got like the DD gems in here. But yeah, I will say to people who didn't see the last guide, I have examples of gear for right when you get to maps, for early maps to day 1 to day 2 gear, and then like the gear you want to strive for, like super endgame in here, along with all the trees for like a offensive setup versus a defensive setup that gets like more suppression and life. So make sure you're looking at the right stuff when you are swapping around like the trees and the gems. So as far as changes are concerned, late last league from Rue's recommendation, I actually changed to using a mana mastery instead of going for like the crazy endgame helmet with like mana reservation suffix on it. Instead, we just go for like a dual res suppress life helmet. A bit easier to craft, and with mana reservation, we can fit 3 50% auras and then have the malevolence on the divine blessing. So don't have to like constantly switch between malevolence and haste while mapping. And you only need Enlighten 3 to accomplish this, so that's just something I swapped. And as far as the other thing I swapped for the late game gear is I added a Simplex Amulet in. I will say it is kind of annoying to solve the dex and strength with this. You really need good rolls of like attributes on gear and like maybe on a jewel to fit this. But if you can fit it, it's a lot of damage. And I think you would craft this by chaos spamming until you got tier 1 dot multi. Maybe using an annul and then ashling to try to get life or effective non-damaging ailments, and then craft the other one. I'm not even sure if you can unveil effective non-damaging ailments, but ideally you unveil the life and then craft effect. And that's the only real gear change I made here. I did add a mod of crit chance to spells to compensate for the fact that we no longer have boot enchant to give us crit chance to get that EO uptime. So you really want to get your crit chance to spells somewhere on your gear, at least one mod, like either on the weapon or the shield, if you can go for it. It's pretty hard to get, and don't even worry about it in like the day 1 to day 2 gear. That's it for like the late game stuff. And then for fresh mapping, a lot of people were saying like they didn't have enough ES for Divine Blessing early on in maps, so I suggest just going for a armor ES chest early mapping instead, so that you actually can cast that Divine Blessing and won't have problems. If your gear is obviously like insanely ES heavy, you can kind of flex it around, but I think it's just easier to solve if you have a chest like that. But yeah, everything else is the same as before. Just kind of work with the fresh mapping stuff, and then work towards this stuff, and then work toward the late game gear as you progress through the game. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, or check out the 3.22 video, because I mean it's basically the same. Yeah. Small note for softcore players, I actually wanted to add in that there is a bit more DPS optimization you can go for if you want to. Instead of using Bastion of the Elements as your ascendancy, you can go Shaper of Storms and then run both Polaric Devastation, the Black Star Ring, and the Replica Emberwake in combo, and you can get up to like 15 16 mil ignite, probably even more if you min-max it. I'm not even sure if I tick Covered in Ash in here. It automatically counts it in. But yeah, that's just an option you can go for in softcore for a bit more damage. It is a significant amount more. You do lose the Bastion, so you are a bit squishier, but you do deal a lot more damage. So just something to think about if you would like to try it. That's pretty much it for Detonate Dead for 3.23. Pretty much same build as it was for 3.22. I will say there is a chance, like I said earlier, that there's like some bug corpse that you can use with the new patch. I'm sure myself, I'll be playing DD, or Ben, if Ben plays DD, you'll know from us if that exists. But otherwise, have fun blasting. If you play DD, don't be afraid to respec into something like Maw late game if you want, or something that scales a lot higher like Fire Trap. There's really a lot of options to work with, and you should have no problem getting all 4 of your Void Stones, maybe even doing Ubers, getting all your bonus done. and then doing whatever you like. If you want to keep min-maxing DD to the absolute fullest, feel free. It's a fun build. I have a lot of fun playing it. I'm actually not that sick of playing DD, even though I've played it so many times, just because, you know, it's such a smooth starter and just one of my favorite builds that's in the game. Yeah, good luck, guys. Have fun.